AI is going to affect our lives far more than the internet has to this point in time. It's going to change the entire landscape in every industry. And so really got deep into it very quickly, and started seeing all of the capabilities that it could do. Started, looking at things, at not only looking at what it could do, but also coming up with case uses of how we could leverage this technology to do things that nobody else was even thinking about at that point in time.
Hi, I'm Adam Gower, founder of GowerCrowd.com, where we help real estate syndicators find more investors. Welcome to the Easy Win AI Real Estate Show, exploring AI's impact on the real estate industry. Each episode offers practical tools, competitive AI strategies, and expert insights. For essential news and updates, visit easywin.ai and sign up for our free newsletter with actionable how-tos like how I added hours to my day by creating this clone of me you're watching and listening to right now. easywin.ai, the only newsletter you need on real estate and AI. All right, now back to the real me. My guest today is Chris Pollinger, who's founder and managing partner at Luxe Leader. He's a true superstar in this industry, a true industry leader, as you are going to discover when you hear him talking about the systems that he's put in place, the AI systems that he's put in place to assist his clients excel in the luxury real estate industry. But more than that, what Chris talks about that is so powerful and resonates particularly with me is his understanding of true excellence in this industry. It's one of the hardest things I find for me to differentiate myself from in a crowd of noise out there. How do you distinguish yourself? How do you elevate yourself and be seen for being a true leader? Well, the insights that Chris shares today are exactly how to do it. It's not easy, but he has exactly the same kind of thought process that I do. I really enjoyed meeting him. I think you're going to find the podcast absolutely fascinating. And if you've not done so yet, go to easywin.ai, sign up for our newsletter. It provides all kinds of educational content, easy wins by name and nature that you can use immediately to leverage AI in real estate. All right, let's move on. Chris Pollinger, founder and managing partner, Luxe Leader. Boom, here he is. Chris, what an enormous pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. That article in Inman that you wrote was a power article about the intersection of AI and real estate. And what I wanted to do is to drill down on some of those concepts, because I know you're a pretty advanced user. But before I do, I'm going to ask you, I guess I should ask you two things. Let me ask you this first. What do you do? Right. Let's start at the high level. And then I got a specific question about AI. So first of all, who are you? What do you do?
So Chris Pollinger, I founded a company that does consulting for mostly the luxury space in real estate. So we do primarily United States, North America. About 20% of our business is international as far as that goes. We work, and that comes from my background. At one point in time, I led the growth and the sales for three of the largest real estate companies in the country on the residential side. And so those were all luxury driven. And so I brought a lot of that stuff and created a consulting company that works with brands, brokers, teams, elite agents. And then also we have a portion of our business that's prop tech and fintech as well that kind of bleeds into that same space as well. So that's who I am and what we're doing at this point in time. Real Estate Luxury Leaders is the name of the company, and completely delighted to join you on today's podcast.
Well, I'm delighted to have you. Thanks so much. All right, so just one kind of quick question and follow up to that. All right, so luxury real estate. I'm in California. Nothing's less than millions of dollars here. What is the range of, when you talk luxury, what is kind of range of pricing that you talk about?
Great question. Luxury is more of a mindset than it is a price range, because the price range is going to radically change, right? We've got stuff that is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and you've got stuff that is in the 750 range, depending on where you are in the country or in the world. And then, two, you get into the ultra trophy, or you get into the commercial side of the business, and the sky's the limit, right? So we work along that space, but it is really a mindset of how do we bring more value to the clients? How do we bring more value to the people that we're working with and elevate our game? And I think there's never been a more important time within real estate to have those conversations of how, as professionals, do we elevate our game to be better at what we do and who we serve. And so it really is more of a mindset of wherever you are, you're speaking to the top tier of that marketplace.
That is that you've just nailed the head on everything that I'm living for at the moment.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. So actually, so you do commercial as well as resi, do you?
Yeah, we do have a portion of our business that does deal with commercial as well. So familiar with that. It's not necessarily the bulk of our business, but it does represent about 20% of our business.
Got it. Okay. All right. So let's get to AI and this fabulous article that you wrote. So, all right. So I'm going to ask a presumptive question.
Yeah.
And that is, what was your first eureka moment with AI?
Gosh, what a great question. So, I have a history with operations and marketing and sales. And so AI is not necessarily a new concept, right? But when ChatGPT hit the marketplace, it really became a point where AI became accessible to the masses. And so very quickly, we were looking at it and saying, how can we start tooling this for our clientele? How can we start tooling this for an industry to help use it in a more effective manner? I immediately saw that AI is going to affect our lives far more than the internet has to this point in time. It's going to change the entire landscape in every industry. And so really got deep into it very quickly, and started seeing all of the capabilities that it could do. Started, looking at things, at not only looking at what it could do, but also coming up with case uses of how we could leverage this technology to do things that nobody else was even thinking about at that point in time. And so very early got into it, been deep into it since it became kind of mainstream, and have enough back knowledge of AI and technology to understand that this technology isn't new. It's just being used in new ways, and it became accessible in ways that it was never possible before. So, now we don't need a tech department to use it. We can use it as human beings, and it radically changes how we do business, and our lives. And the truth is we haven't even begun to see how it integrates into us and how it's going to change literally everything we do and how we do it. And the people that are even poking at it are still worlds ahead of most people. My encouragement is jump into it. You're going to be an expert very, very quickly in it, because the relative experts in this field are all relatively new. You don't have a long, deep history that you're having to compete against.
I am so happy we met. Thanks, Chris. All right, so let's go through some bullet points here from that article, right? Just to give folk an idea of how you actually use it, how you implement it. The first question. So you talk about using AI to spot content gaps or content strategy. So how do you do that? First of all, what is a content strategy and why do you need one? And how do you use AI to identify gaps?
Yeah, great question. So, all of us are in a place where when you're in the real estate field, you're trying to find your voice within with a mass amount of people that are all speaking at the same time. And then you add that into the culture we live in is a very loud culture. We're listening to a lot of different things. How can we know what the right thing is to say? How can we really help develop our own personal brand within our business to become notable in what we do? And that's what we work with our clients on, very early on is establishing that. And so AI has become the best research assistant to be able to say, this is the client, these are the competitors of the client. I want you to do the research and figure out where are the gaps in what they're saying that we need to be starting to fill in so that we can exponentially increase the amount of notoriety, authorship, ownership, and ability to see in and gain more tangible prospects and clients for this particular client. And we've also layered that into what are the trending things that are going on in the world right now? What are the news things that are going on in the world? What is missing on somebody's website? What is missing in somebody's LinkedIn profile? Taking a LinkedIn profile and saying, here's this person, here's their brand. What should they be saying? What's missing in this? And being able to have AI not only identify that, but also training AI on how to ghostwrite for that person, so that AI is now ghostwriting the content in their voice as if they're them, right? And we've now dialed down that process, where early days you would do it and you would get products where, like, you would get output that was 70% there, you need 30% to filter. We're now getting outputs that are at 98, 99% done, and so specific and so personal to each one of the people we work with, that AI does not know it's AI writing the articles, right? And so that's something that, again, process-wise, you can get very deep into it, but it's not very difficult to take a look at the content and say, here's this person's website, here's my website, where are the gaps between the two, and where are the trending SEO words? Where are the gaps between how should I rewrite this to exploit these different gaps and get more notoriety? So we're seeing that not only on SEO, we're seeing it on social, we're seeing it on LinkedIn profiles, across the board. If you're really wanting to target a certain particular client base, what are the things I should be talking about? How should I be positioning myself? Where should I be at? And having AI really kind of point those things out and really help us. And what used to take us as an agency hours and hours and hours and tens of hours and lots and lots of hours to do that research, now that research is done in a matter of minutes.
That's
and
it's yeah.
And it's something that can be updated at will, right? So you just be like, hey, can we do an update for this? Is there anything that's happened in the last month that is notable that we should be doing that? We can update that immediately and have that written, and we're getting tremendous results off of those outputs.
That's amazing. Yeah, we've also noticed the quality of output going up dramatically. It's a factor of, there's two things influencing that. One, the quality of the AI itself, but two, the expertise of the person using it. In your case, you and your team, they do go hand in hand. But when you get to that point where you've got something 98% there, and you know what? Every time I see that, I gasp. It's like, how did it do that? It's like really amazing.
It's crazy.
Let me ask you the next question. Let's put out of sequence, because I do want to get to social as well. If we've got time, we'll try and get to that. All right. So this is important for agents, especially. How do you use AI to leverage? How do you leverage AI to pre-qualify leads more effectively?
Well, there's a number of different ways we can do that. One, understanding the kind of leads that you really want that's perfect for your business, right? I mean, so that's something that historically has been kind of a gap, because we've been in real estate, we're very general, typically speaking, about who we're looking for. So understanding who the ideal client is and who that ideal avatars are for our business, whatever our business is, being able to dial that in is really important. Then being able to take those avatars and saying, okay, for this avatar, where should I be looking? What messages should I be using? And how can I best qualify them for what I've got in my portfolio? And being able to define all of those things. And then as we have prospects coming in, being able to take those prospects and telling AI, listen, I want you to go out and look at their social media. I want to do Google searches on them and say, are these the right kind of prospects? How can we tailor our messages directly for them? Because I do think we're entering a era of hyper personalized marketing. I think that we're going to be seeing in the next 12 months marketing that is specific down to the person that's reading it, because AI is going to be able to do that research in real time and be able to speak to that person, their need, their background, and their desires, and their stage of life, within seconds, and in a more or less real time environment. And so our marketing is going to become far more effective as we move forward, and far more efficient as we use AI.
Fascinating. All right. So kind of flipping that around a little bit. How do you use AI to identify the most appropriate property recommendations for clients? It's probably a similar answer, but how do you do that?
Yeah, similar answers. So we very early on trained, did specially trained a staff of 15 different AI agents, and this was back over a year ago now, that all were specialized in different things, and so those one of those AI staff agents, we trained to really get into behavior psychology, investing, all the different things that are asking the prospect the right kind of questions, right? And so we got really tailored into, if we could have the perfect interview with somebody, what would that look like? And if we can utilize AI to have those different interviews via email, via chat, via whatever the case may be, even with our with our clients, they'll have live conversations. They'll take some notes and then they'll give it to AI, and AI will chew on all of that and come back and say, this is the right recommendation for them, right? And so I've got this long and deep history. I've been in real estate for 30 years now. I also have my financial planner's background and a number of other things with finance. I started in commercial finance back in the dark ages. And so kind of having that holistic view of being able to look at things and say, every investor is different. What kind of things that they're looking for is different. And the things that you want, the way we speak to them is different. Some people are really big on gross multipliers. Some are using cap rates. Some of them they all have their pet things that they like to use. Being able to not only look at that, and then if we work in a local market, we can tailor it to the local market. If we work in a national market, we can say what markets right now are meeting these criteria, run it through those. AI is running the algorithms for us now and bringing back these tailored results that we can now give to the client in a way that is unmatched by anybody else who's doing it kind of in a manual, old school way.
Yeah, it speaks to this idea of engagement as well. Engagement, so
Mm-hmm.
not just directly, but also on social media. So let's talk about social media briefly.
Yeah.
How do you use AI to, well, first of all, why is social media important? He said, again, presumptively, assuming that it is important. Number one, why is it
Mm-hmm.
important? And secondly, how do you use AI to enhance engagement, or how do you use AI on social media for your clients?
Yeah, good question. So social media, you have different social media outlets, and the different channels all have their own different audiences, right? And those different audiences, you have to take your message and tailor it to each of those audiences. The way that I speak on LinkedIn is going to be different than the way that I speak on X, or the way that I speak on Instagram or Facebook or any of those things. And I will say that I'm not a social media junkie. I really actually don't like social media. I'm an introvert by nature. I kind of like my own space, but I use social media, and I'm a big advocate of using social media with clients to further their brand and further their reach. And by using AI, I can not only monitor what's going on in each one of those different channels, by having these trained AI agents that are watching for keywords, watching for certain trends, watching certain analytics, and then kind of coming back and saying, how does this information affect the personal brand of a client, right? Or one of our clients, of an agent or a broker. How does it affect that personal brand? And if so, what are the things that person needs to be speaking? And how do we translate that for these different audiences? And so with LinkedIn, there's different things that are working better than others as far as the algorithms go, as far as spread or reach goes. And what kind of voice and tone do we use? It's more professional voice and tone for that, right? And for luxury as well as for commercial, LinkedIn should be your base social media channel, because the average person on there makes a lot more money. It's much more of a business friendly thing. I'm going to say it's the white collar, social media channel, right? And so, and because Microsoft owns it, it has a lot of tie into a lot of juice across the board, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that are going on that I won't get into at the moment with LinkedIn, but LinkedIn should be a channel that you're really paying attention to and participating in. And then, but it also, okay, these are great points and these are things we need to talk about. How do we translate that out into an Instagram post? How do we do this for a TikTok video? How can we translate this into a script for a longer form YouTube video? How can we take this and now chop it up into stories and reels? And how can we put in all these other things? The one thing I hate about social media is it takes so much time, right? I mean, like if I'm doing all this manually, I'm posting everywhere. I'm coming up, I have to be brilliant every day and come up with different things. With AI, I just go, here's what I want to accomplish. Here's my goals for the year. Here's my perfect avatar clients. Here's my personal brand, who I am, what I do. And I want you to come up with a social media strategy on these separate different channels. And I want to be, what is the ideal posting period? Give me the ideas for the post. Can you generate the post for me? Can you do all of that? And then you can just schedule those posts. And so, the social media, which used to be a daily activity that everybody has to do, we now just have down in chunks where we just go, 90-day chunks and say, this is what you're going to do. This is your social media plan for the 90 days. It's completely done. Here's all it is. Here's all the graphics. And we just need to schedule it. And the truth is with AI, we're getting really close to, we're not even going to have to schedule it anymore. We're just going to tell AI to schedule it for us. And it's going to do that very quickly, right? So it's amazing to see how AI has evolved in the over the last 18 months, into something that is truly remarkable. And I honestly think we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, as we come into this next iteration, it's going to be massive. We're just now starting to see custom personalized video that is now kind of blowing the doors off of things. It's still early stages, but the truth is, you can do questions and answers of you in real time. Like it's your voice, it's your face, it's your mannerisms in real time. HeyGen has a thing where you can do that. And it now is a real-time question and answer video chat with you, right? And which trained on your background and your idiosyncrasies and what you would say in any particular construct. So all of those things are coming along very quickly. And again, I think we're just at the infancy level of, we're at the AOL level of the internet, right? I mean, like we're so early days, we don't even know who the players are going to be, or what we're going to see over the next few years with AI.
It's funny actually, because you said, I'm taking notes, guys. I'm looking distracted, but I'm not. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you said, when you said it's amazing how far AI has come in the last, and I was waiting for you to say last week. You said 18 months, but it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
You could just as well said, look how fast it's moving. Last week it was totally different.
It's a day by day thing. It's literally rolling, hour by hour, and changing everything as it goes, right? We're just kind of getting used to it.
Yeah, that's what what I find so fun about it is that I've learned some really, really difficult things in my life, including learning to speak Japanese. But you reach a plateau, and you can incrementally learn a little every day. But once you reach a level of fluency, there's not much further that you can go. The way AI is, every single day, it's evolving so fast that you just got to keep up going. It's like a wonderful opportunity for intellectual indulgence. I don't mean to sound that kind of weird or professorial.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, completely. I completely agree. It is it's the evolution of it, and where it's going to go is so beyond our understanding or scope at this point in time. I really, like I said, the first question, how did I know? What was my aha moment? When I first started playing with it, I started going, this is going to be bigger than the internet. This is going to be bigger than anything we've ever seen in our lifetime. It is going to integrate into every aspect of our lives in ways that we can't even comprehend, and make us, within the real estate space. I don't think it's going to displace us as the people in real estate. I think that it's, the people in real estate that are using AI is going to displace the people that don't.
Absolutely.
So
just a short note, and then I've actually got a kind of a bigger question to ask that I really should have started with. My bad. But you talked about social media, not liking social media. I actually think of LinkedIn. I don't think of it as being social media.
Right.
I actually think of it as being networking media. Unfortunately, It's labeled social, but it isn't. Really. It's a business tool. It's as simple as that. Okay, so here's the question that I really should have started with. So you get a lot of high-powered professionals that come through your door that hire you to help them.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest challenges that you see them having that you're the most comfortable solving using AI for them? Like when they come through, what are the biggest challenges?
Great question. I think the thing that we used to do manually is we used to go through with each one of our clients this really long process to help them understand their market, their brand, their future, their goals, what their opportunities were, and then build plans to exploit all of those. And now that entire process we've been able to condense down, which used to take weeks, now we can condense down into hours, right? With utilizing AI and getting results and getting these things that are really truly amazing. And so, when it comes down to helping somebody understand what their opportunities are and how to exploit those opportunities within the marketplace, that's been historically kind of the biggest aspect of, people know that they want to do something bigger. They know they want to have, huge market share. They know that they want to expand into other markets. They know that they want to be the tip of the spear within the industry. And, they have some ideas of what to do. But one of the things that makes us unique is kind of the creativity that we've historically brought to the table, saying, let's do this in ways that is very unique and very different, right? So like we don't offer cookie cutter approaches. One of the things that makes us different is everybody else tries to take a person and put it into their systems. We take systems and build them for that person. It's a much more bespoke relationship as far as that goes, and that's why it's truly and unbelievably much more effective when you go about it that way. But that entire strategy and planning process, now we can put ideas into it, but we've trained AI with so many different backgrounds and ideas that we have, that's not not canned in the GBT that you get off the shelf, right? That now that planning and strategy process happens very, very quickly, and it's something that can be done very efficiently and very effectively and have tremendous output, so then we can focus on the other side, which is really on the implementation side, which is where you get the most bang for the buck as far as that goes, because now you're getting the return on investment and you're getting the cash flow that comes along with the increased market share.
It's really interesting that you talk about not fitting a client to the tools you use, but fitting the tools you use to the client. It sounds actually what you do is it's like an exact parallel path to what we do for commercial real estate sponsors who are trying to raise capital, and the thinking process is the exact same.
Very similar.
So how do you elevate yourself? This is now off AI. Maybe actually AI is the answer, but it's more of a personal question. How do you elevate your messaging? Because it is bespoke. I'm not even sure if people know what that word means, right? It is tailored specifically to the individual. How do you tailor your messaging to elevate yourself above the noise of all the other people who are saying they do the same thing, but actually are not doing? They're just using cookie cutter.
Yeah. I think when it comes to AI has been really helpful for us to really dive into the depths of that in a far greater way, right? And so that's something from a really truly understanding who you are and understanding who your perfect clients are. Once you have that deep understanding and fundamental understanding and clarity on those two things, it becomes much easier to craft messages for the people that are actually listening. And that's something that, again, in real estate, we tend to be so general about what we're doing. Even if we're in, commercial real estate, I sell office, I represent office space. The truth is that there's so many nuances within that you can dive into to reach your perfect clientele. And once you have that messaging, all of a sudden that marketing, the messaging, the branding, all of this stuff hits directly into who you're trying to speak to. It becomes so much more effective and so much more efficient because you're speaking to somebody in their own language, right? They're speaking directly to their core values, what they care about most. It's no longer talking in platitudes. It's talking in real messaging that makes a real difference to the person that you're actually speaking to. And that's been the biggest, that's been the biggest thing, I think, in your world. Putting together funds and doing raises for funds. Who are the investors that want that type of fund? There's a lot of investors, right? And investors that invest in these types of funds, it's here. But then when you actually like this specific fund, what are the hot buttons on this specific fund? And who are the investors that are most likely to do that? The more specific we get, the more tailored that message is, the better it fits the person when you get to the other side.
Yeah. The word that comes to mind is authenticity.
Absolutely.
And just staying completely honest to who you are and your standards and values.
Yeah.
And messaging that is what attracts the people you want to work with at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that authenticity is the one thing that AI can't replace, right? I mean, AI is a beautiful tool to amplify who we are, but it can't displace who we are, right? And so that who we bring to the table is us, and our backgrounds, our cares, our concerns, our strengths, our core values, personality, and the way that we do business, the way we process information, all of those things are unique to us, and we can really truly soar if we understand who that is and who's going to best respond to that.
There's something else that's unique to us all individually. And I've got a really rude joke about Americans' ability to speak multiple languages that I won't
share. Hit me with that. I love it. Yeah.
Well, what do you call somebody that speaks 3 languages or 2 languages? Bilingual. Somebody that speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. Somebody speaks just 1 language? American.
Yeah.
So that's really bad coming from an Englishman.
No, it's a well-deserved joke, right? It's a well-deserved joke.
Well, you know what they used to say about the British colonists in the 17th and 1800s? The way that they dealt with foreign languages is, if the blighter doesn't understand, say it louder.
Yes.
All right. So on that topic, actually, I've created some mind-blowing videos of me speaking multiple languages. That were perfectly lip synced and just OMG, like really out there, that I've had feedback from native speakers that say, oh my goodness, it's actually perfect in my voice, in their language. You know what I'm talking about. So, but I haven't quite figured out how to leverage that incredible tool yet, because most of our focus is on the US. Where do you see that? I mean, have you seen any clients actually apply that successfully yet?
Yeah. So about 2 months ago, we have a couple of different courses that our clients have access to, and we've got a couple of them that we've monetized that anybody can take if they want to. So, one's kind of this. It's a 12 session kind of intro certification course for ultra luxury, and that people can take. And we got contacted from these people in Italy in Rome saying, hey, we love this, but I would love to bring this back to our organization. Is there anybody in your organization that can do it in Italian, though? Because there's we have a contingent that certainly speaks English, but our English isn't our first language, and we'd really like it to be in Italian. And so we took it, because it was all videoed, and we took it and we said, well, let me
have it for you later this afternoon.
Yeah. I said, let me see what I can do. And so we went back and we had AI take all of those things. We started with taking the transcripts and then, translating the transcripts into Italian. And then we had, again, the same tools that allow the audio to be done, in my voice, in Italian. And, we were able to translate these 12 videos, these 12, this 12 video course into Italian. And then, I sent it to her, sent samples. I said, how does this work? And she's like, this is brilliant. This is exactly, I don't know how you did this. I don't know how you learned Italian, right?
Since yesterday.
Yeah. And because I knew it was in Rome, I actually had the Italian, my instructions with the AI was like, I'd like to translate this into an Italian speaker's dialect as if they grew up in Rome, right? And so, we were able to do it in a Roman Roma dialect and send it over. And she was like, this is as good as a native speaker, you know? And so we were able to translate the entire course over and then sell that course over to her, you know, and to her organization.
I'm going to share a
Which,
secret with you. So I was, you know, I spent a lot of time in Japan and I speak Japanese. We
yeah.
were there at the beginning of the summer. One of my old colleagues had a 3-minute video that he was going to present from people that recorded in English.
Yes.
It was testimonials. It was a big event for some guy over there. 400 people were going to show up. They were going to broadcast this video in English. And he figured, you know, they'll kind of, most people kind of get something out of it. So I said, no, listen, I'll translate that for you. I showed him the video I'd made of me.
Yeah.
So it took about 3 minutes to translate this thing. But I waited 4 days to give it to him because I didn't want him to think it was that easy.
Yeah.
I figured, you know what, I'll just let it. I know the event's coming up. There's plenty of time. I'll get it in time, but I do not want him to know it's that easy.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Where are we over here? Right. So, okay. So actually, let me ask you this, and then I've got one last question. Then we've got 3 rapid fire sign-off questions.
Shoot.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So, what are the biggest challenges that you think real estate professionals have who don't come to you and have the initiative to come to you to help them? But what is the biggest challenges they have for crossing the line into integrating AI into there, or to using AI, period? What's the block?
The block is the fear of just, you know, not getting started. You know, if you get started and you're just like, you know, the irony is it takes us 10,000 hours to become a master at something, you know, but we can be better than 80% of the people if we just spent 100 hours, right? And so if you just took 100 hours and said, I'm just going to figure this out, you're going to be better than 80% of the population. You know, I mean, like it. So just getting started and not being afraid to get started, you know, that's where it's going to start. Because as you learn it, you get deeper and you figure out, oh my gosh, if I just prompt it better here, or if I just focus it better here, which tools are better to use in which circumstances. And part of that exploration is looking at a lot of stuff that you look at and go, oh my gosh, a lot of this is so much noise. And if we can just calm the noise, we realize that there's some real great nuggets at the core of this. You know, it's amazing. You know, we think of ChatGPT as kind of the granddaddy of LMNs, or the large language models. But the truth is that there are so many technologies and websites out there that are using the GPT back framing. And ChatGPT is just an expression of that. I mean, you can use it for all kinds of different things that people aren't necessarily thinking about. You know, and we've got the same thing for video and for audio. We're using, and okay, this is crazy stuff. We started using probably about 4 months ago. We started maybe 4 or 5 months ago. We started testing. So we have brokers that are looking to recruit people, right? Part of real estate. It's an ongoing issue with real estate. But brokers don't like to make the phone calls themselves because, you know, it's a universal problem in real estate, no matter what part of real estate you're in. And so we started training AI to make phone calls, real-time phone calls. And before we were saying, you know, obviously the best way for the phone calls to be is if the broker makes the phone calls, there's a personal connection, you can take it wherever you want. But, you know, if brokers aren't going to make the phone calls, you know, you have somebody stateside or local that can make those phone calls, great. If you can't find somebody, can't afford somebody to do that because there's not return on investment enough, you know, in that space, you go to offshore and you say virtual assistants can do these phone calls. Historically, that's been kind of the thing. We said, well, let's just do AI and let's see if AI can do these phone calls. So we did the scripting, we did all of this stuff. And so using AI is making real-time phone calls to people and getting better results at booking appointments with the broker than virtual. They are now, after 4 or 5 months of tweaking, we are now at parity with live people in the United States making phone calls in local markets. So these are people that make somewhere between, you know, $70,000 and $90,000 a year to make phone calls to book appointments that have been replaced by AI. And we're looking at one client's bill this last month, and it was $42 for AI to make all of the phone calls, do it consistently, and to generate it. And we get audio recordings of the phone calls, transcripts of the phone calls, and again, the appointments being booked. And it's crazy looking at these transcripts. People have no idea they're talking to AI, right? And we can change the dialects, we can change the accents of the speakers, we can change all these different things. And we can do that because they're business to business phone calls. Like doing it from business to consumer, we've become, there's some legal problematic things within the US with that. But business to business, perfectly okay. But imagine that technology, and utilizing that technology in real time. Imagine, how does that change? How does that change prospecting calls? When you're doing prospecting calls, and you're like, well, I can do, how many phone calls a day can we do consistently? Well, AI can do it, and AI can do it as much as you want. So imagine the breadth and the latitude now we can take in markets and say, all right, this is really great. Let's expand this over markets and drive even more results. We've just scratched the surface on that. And that's something that, again, this is live interaction with somebody. And I mean, the questions that people are asking these AI agents, not knowing that they're AI, is unbelievable. I mean, they're asking them personal questions. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. The tech, the kind of conversations people are having, with this technology, not knowing that it's there.
Chris, you are an amazing man. Let me wrap up. No, I'm like blown away. It's just, I mean, you've embraced AI in real estate absolutely better than anybody I've come across yet.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Let me wrap up with 3 what I call kind of rapid fire questions.
You got it.
Number 1, why should real estate pros be looking at AI today? This is the first dumb question. Knowing you, but
yeah, they can expand their effectiveness and their efficiency by a multitude of, at least 5x out of the box. The stuff that you can do as quickly as you can do it, it's going to make you much more effective and much more efficient just out of the box.
Second, all right. So what tools do you like to use every day, and how do you use them? Like, what's your go-to, and how do you use?
GPT is something that it gets used an enormous amount. We use Midjourney for most of our graphics at this point in time, and have been for a long time.
How do you use ChatGPT?
We use ChatGPT as kind of a personal assistant and as a ghostwriter, right? And so, if whatever I want to do, they're also great for brainstorming. We have a bunch of trained, GPTs, but we have one of the things we do for our clients, and it's something I'll open up for your audience if they want to take advantage of it. You can share the information.
Sure.
But one of the things that we have a 15 step brand process that helps you understand who you are, what you do, and who your avatars are, and what your messaging should be, and all of that. And if you take that and you take it and you do it through AI, and then you take that and save it, put it into AI's memory at GPT, you created a personal GPT. You now have a personal brand advisor and ghostwriter for you that you can throw anything into and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing, I've got a new property and I want to push this property out. Knowing my brand, knowing my voice, knowing whatever, where should I be sending it? How should I be positioning it? And it'll spit out the answers. Whatever you have questions for, it is literally like having a marketing assistant that's dedicated to you, that understands your brand, who you are, everything about you. It's like having a PR person that's in your back pocket saying, hey, I've got this new fund we're raising things. Can you do a press release for it? In fact, I'd really like to do a series of 4 different press releases. We're going to, where do you think that we should be releasing them to? What are the audiences? Great. Can you write each one of them to those specific different audiences, or put those elements in there so that those can go out? Almost everything that we do, we are now filtering through or utilizing AI as an extension of ourselves to make us just much more effective and much more efficient. So the output that it's putting out is really, at this point in time, so specific and so unique. AI is not triggering it that it's AI. We've tailored it that specific. And so if any of your listeners are wanting that, have them get in touch with me, and I'm happy to share that information so that you can have your own personal GPT assistant that can do, a ridiculous amount of stuff, right? One of the things that I do and have done for years is I'm one of the only people I know of that actually track luxury real estate markets across the United States and does a monthly report on what's going on in luxury, and migration patterns from here to there, and where are the trends going, and where can people be ahead, or where do some forecasting within the luxury space. Well, all of that used to be so laborious to go through all those numbers and really kind of drill all that stuff down. Now I can take all the raw data, put it into AI, and say, take a look at this. Give me the trends. Give me the different things that you're seeing, and then also give me some of the unique things that are popping up that most people would miss. And now it's just pulling all of these things together, and now it gives me the bullet points for an article that that goes along with that report. So I take the data, put it into something pretty, and then say, great, take these bullet points, and using my brand, our brand voice, and to our avatar audience, can you write a report using these points for this month's article? And it puts that together, and now it takes all of that, and we push and publish, all within 15 minutes. So yes. It's something that what used to take hours, now is super quick. But that's all of those things, you can geek out on it as much as you want, but the biggest thing is just get started. If you just get started, you're going to see worlds of difference right away.
Oh, what a perfect way to segue to my last question. So for somebody who hasn't started, for whatever reason, what would you suggest is an easy win for them? What could they do when they stop listening to this, go on their computer, on their phone, that might just give them that OMG eureka moment, that aha moment, an easy win?
Yeah, start with GPT. It's the easiest, it's the simplest. And if you download it for your phone, you can, power users tend to use it on their computers and everything else, but download it on your phone. There's a little microphone button. You hit the microphone and you have a conversation with it. Trust me, your mind will be blown. And it doesn't matter. You can talk about business. You can talk about health. You can say, hey, listen, I want to shave off 5 pounds, over the next 6 weeks of, what should I be eating? What kind of exercise should I be, here's who I am. Ask me the question, just talk to it, and you will be absolutely floored with what you're getting back in a way where you will be dumbfounded and shocked and go, how did I not use this, all along? So start there. It's the simplest, it's the easiest. And then you can ask GPT, like, okay, I want to know a little bit more about AI and how to integrate it in my business. What should I do next? And you know what? It'll tell you, you don't need to know the answers. In fact, you don't even know, back in the early days of prompting, when you really had to prompt engineering was far more important in the earlier days now than it is as the models have gotten better. But in the early days of prompt engineering, you're like, hey, this is what I want as an output. What's the best way to tell you what prompt should I be using to get this output? And AI would tell you, it would help you with that, right? It's absolutely amazing. So there's so many different things you can get into, but the first step, the first easiest thing, download GPT and on your phone, hit the little microphone button and talk to it and just have a conversation and just say, hey, AI, this is my first conversation with you. What can you do for me? How can you make my life better? And just let it answer you, right?
Oh, isn't that amazing?
And just have a conversation. Funny,
actually, Chris. One of my friends,
you're going to go down a wormhole.
He uses exactly the same thing. We'll wrap up now, but he uses the exact same thing with his kids when they go on a long drive. He puts it through the speakers and they play 20 questions. So let's play 20 questions. You go first.
Yeah.
And they communicate. They like talk to this thing. It's like having somebody else that can endless, nanny, right?
It's another person, which is crazy. Yeah. It's and it never gets tired and it never gets cranky, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you should say that. I actually got into a bit of a conversation. I was a bit worried, so I stopped. It actually was unable to do something. I was asking, are you able to do this? It said, yes. I said, okay, do it. And then it said, there's an error. I said, well, how do I know you can do it? I can do it. Yeah, but you can't do it. So I thought, I better stop there. In case the robots take over one day, I don't want, a black mark against my name.
Yeah.
Chris.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of concern about AI and the dark side of AI. But the reality is there's so much upside of AI.
Oh, yeah.
And you and I, no matter how hard we try, we will never get in the way of the dark side of AI ever coming to fruition. Exactly. So you might as well embrace the technology and use it for the bright side. Just embrace it for what it is, because the opportunity is there, and we have an opportunity, over the next number of months to really make a humongous difference within, each one of your listeners' actual personalized and actual personal businesses, where it will be transformative in the ability, if they just embrace it and say, I'm just going to go ahead and dive in and spend a little bit of time, every day, or carve out some time every week just to get my feet wet, because it is a rabbit trail where you are going to find it just takes you down a path. And you know what? You're spending the time anyway. You're wasting it somewhere else. Turn off the TV, chat with AI and say, how can I help my business with this technology? And just all of a sudden, it's going to give you so many brilliant ideas that you can just now take and implement in your business. And then, it's up to the listeners to actually take it and implement it. But I guarantee you will never be stuck again if you just utilize AI. Because if you feel stuck, you're like, I feel stuck. What should I be doing now? AI will tell you and give you a bunch of ideas that automatically get you into a place of momentum and, help you create that space. And while everybody else is putting their head in the ground and kind of ignoring it, you are worlds ahead just because you took a little bit of time to invest in yourself. So I think from a ongoing education standpoint, no better place than integrating AI into that pursuit as we go forward.
Your last name is pronounced Pollinger or Pollinger?
It is Pollinger. Yeah,
Chris Pollinger. You are a true industry leader, and it's a real pleasure to meet you. Founder and managing partner, Luxe Leader is the name of your company, right?
Yep.
Thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate you.
All right, that was Chris Pollinger, who is founder and managing partner at Luxe Leader. Isn't he amazing? What a nice guy. Really enjoyed meeting him. Oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely one person who has embraced AI more than anybody else that I've met in commercial real estate or in real estate in general. There's plenty of people who are geeking out like I am, who are not in real estate, but he's one of the absolute leaders in the real estate industry. I do hope that you got as much out of that conversation as I did. Chris, thanks for joining me. Of course, I mustn't forget that. And we'll definitely be in touch again sometime soon. And thank you too, dear viewers, for joining us today. And that's it for this week. I will see you next time. And for now, it's Adam Gower signing off.